a minute and we'll start at 12:01. So if you don't have coffee, then please grab. Okay, it's just gone 1 minute after 12. Hi, everyone, and welcome to this month's Webinar Wednesday. It's really great to have everyone with us today. So whether you're joining with your first coffee, I don't know how you managed, or sneaking in a break between meetings, we really appreciate you taking the time to be here. Just a quick bit of housekeeping before we begin. The session is being recorded, so you'll be able to visit it or share it with your team afterwards. And as always, the Q&A is open throughout the session. Don't be shy. Please drop in your questions in the chat as we go along. All right, so now let's get into today's topic. If you've been anywhere near LinkedIn, the news, or a boardroom lately, you'll know AI is dominating the headlines. Every week, there's a new announcement, a new tool, or another bold prediction about AI is going to transform business. But behind the headlines, the reality is a little more complicated. We are seeing that organizations everywhere are investing heavily in AI, yet only a small number of initiatives actually deliver measurable ROI. And interestingly, it's really the technology that's the problem. Despite what some LinkedIn posts might suggest, successful AI isn't about crafting the world's most popular or polite prompt or remembering to say please and thank you to ChatGPT. The real blockers tend to be much more human. Unclear use cases, processes that aren't ready, teams that feel uncertain, and governance that struggles to keep up. And that's exactly what today's session is about. We're going to unpack why so many AI initiatives stall, and more importantly, what successful organizations are doing differently to turn AI from experimentation into real business value. And in keeping with the theme of headlines and breaking stories, today's session will be delivered a little differently. So please join me in welcoming our newsroom host for today's session, Michelle Rousseau. Over to you, Michelle.
Thank you, Sue. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Michelle Rousseau, Senior Business Analyst at Mint. And in today's Mint News, our top story, AI ROI. We're going to talk about something that nobody in the AI space actually wants to admit. The reason most AI projects fail is not because of the AI. Here's the headline. AI ROI doesn't start with AI. It starts with people, then process, and then and only then AI. That's not a theory. It's a proven sequence. It de-risks delivery. It makes ROI real. I knew that was going to trip me up. And in the next 30 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how. So let's get into it. I'd love to know who's in the room with us. So if you don't mind just taking a minute to type in the chats what it is you do in your organization. Are you currently busy with any AI projects? And is your organization maybe looking at installing some AI projects this year? So if you could please go ahead and do that. I'll just give you a minute. Good. Okay, so let's keep that in mind as we look at what the data actually says about those types of projects, because what you're about to see might surprise you. We interrupt your regularly scheduled AI optimism with this breaking report. In 2025, 42% of businesses scrapped most of their AI initiatives. Between 70 and 90% of pilots are stuck in what I call pilot purgatory. Only 31% of organizations actually managed to scale AI, even though a lot of them said they're still using AI. Some reports put overall failure as high as 95%, not because the algorithms broke, but because there was little leadership and because of unclear business cases. And here's the one that stings. Even when the tech works, adoption fails if people weren't consulted. Employees resist AI when it's dropped on them without their input every single time. AI doesn't fail because of the algorithms. It fails because of people, process, and alignment. So let's unpack that. McKinsey's AI in 2025 report asked the obvious question. What do high performers do differently? There were three things, just three things. Number one, they build adoption intentionally, engaging stakeholders, delivering role-based training, and tracking better KPIs. Number two, they redesign workflows. They don't bolt shiny tools on top of broken processes. And number three, they govern early, risk, data quality, and measurement before scaling and not after. Sound familiar? People, process, technology. We're going to run through those three themes into something actionable right now. Here's what we do differently at Mint. We don't start with tools, we start with structured analysis. What you're looking at is part of our analysis and design framework. It ensures we align value, process, capability, and technology before any AI is deployed. This isn't a nice to have. This is how you avoid being in those failure statistics that I told you about earlier. So let's work through it. My manager has a saying, go wide before you go deep. It sounds simple, but most organizations don't bother to do this. They actually do the opposite. AI fails reliably and expensively when nobody asks three basic questions. So who is this for? What does good actually look like? And why are we doing this? Before any AI, we must understand how teams make decisions today, capture what good looks like in their words and not ours, identify the pain points and repetitive tasks that nobody wants to do, and agree on who owns the outcomes that AI will support. Get that right, and adoption should flow naturally. So let's talk about, in the chat, if you don't mind, any experience that you've had with an AI project that failed, anything you'd like to share with us. And then we can talk about what we need to do differently. And that is the who, the what, and the why. So let's actually look at, let's make this real. Let's look at a real use case. And we're going to walk through a use case that feels familiar to almost everyone in this room, I'm sure. It's universal and shows up in customer support, HR, IT, insurance claims in many industries. It's an inbound request triage plus a drafted reply. We want the AI to do the heavy lifting with a human making the final call. Simple, practical, powerful, when done right. So let's get into it. Step 1, people. Why do people matter so much? And this is very important. Because there are 8.1 billion humans, and currently 6.8 billion of them have never used AI in any form. The fear of change is real. Before we write a single line of code or configure a single model, we need to know the who. Who is the sponsor? Who owns the process? Who are the frontline reps who's going to be using this? Who owns the data? Who handles security and legal? Who controls the budget? Very important. And who leads the change management? Then we decide, what are the trust rules? What did the AI use to produce its answers? Humans stay in the loop, no autonomous rights, full logging, and always a rollback plan. Then we decide 3 to 5 KPIs, clear decision rights, scope exclusions, and we put together an adoption plan. Then we go to step 2, which is process. And this involves 3 words: map, measure, and design. So first we start off with mapping the as is. In our use case, there's an agent. He reads the requests as they come in. He searches the knowledge base and policies, and then uses that information to draft a reply. He checks his reply, he completes the writing of his reply, and then he sends it, and he updates any fields in the CRM system or whichever system he's busy using at work. Then we look, what's the pain points? Okay, so currently he's got slow search that he deals with, inconsistent quality, because what one agent may think is a quality reply may not be the same as another. And he's got constant rework that he's dealing with, he or she. Then we look at the to-be and we design it with guardrails. So the system will intake the request. AI assists with classification, drafts, and cites. Human reviews, they can either approve, edit, or reject, and then the system commits. Operations, sample checks quality, latency, and adoption. And here are the guardrails, which are non-negotiable. No auto-sends, no autonomous data rights. Citations are required. In other words, AI must give proof of where it got its knowledge from in order to draft that reply. And if AI isn't confident enough, it produces no draft and everything is logged. So here's the user story in plain English. As a frontline agent, I want AI to classify requests, retrieve sources, and draft a reply with citations. So I spend less time searching and first drafting while I remain the final decision maker. That last part, while I remain the final decision maker, that's what makes people trust the system. Right, let's go on to step 3, the technology. And you'll notice this is slide 12, and we're only looking at the technology now. Technology is step 3, not step 1. So the mantra: keep tech assistive, grounded, and observable. Your spec should cover what comes in, what AI does, where humans approve, and then what goes out. So what are our quality gates? We've got to decide. This is our use case. We decide what the quality gates will be, because this mostly works is not a standard. So let's look, say we want critical factual errors to be less than 3%. Citation coverage should be 100%. And then maybe usefulness UAT score, perhaps 80%. Then our controls. What's our feature flag and kill switch? Do we have full audit on prompt, sources, draft, edits, and final? And when do you scale? When the KPIs hold, when adoption is stable, when controls are proven, and when cost is on target, not before. Now let me show you what happens when you skip this. Same use case, but this time someone just decided to build a thing. What are you going to get? You ship an expensive demo that nobody trusts. So on the business side, there's no before or after data, so no ROI proof. The operational side, drafts don't fit the actual workflow. People being people, copy and paste and rework anyway. On the people side, there's low trust. Nobody knows who approves what. And what's the risk? Unsighted replies going out, possible data leakage, no audit trail. Ask McDonald's. That's what happened with their McHire chatbot. What happens on the tech side? Well, maybe possible hallucinations, latency spikes, cost spikes, no kill switch, and no rollback plan. This is not a hypothetical. This is a Tuesday at a company near you. So let's bring this home. The sequence that works: people, process, technology. Before starting an AI project, run the people agenda. Ask the difficult questions, get the people in the room. Who's going to take control of this? Who's going to run the numbers? Publish your trust rules. Get your RACI sorted. So have a complete RACI of who's going to do what, who's responsible for what. Map the as is. Baseline your 3 to 5 KPI numbers. Draft the to be with guardrails. Write the spec and set the quality gates. Start assistive, grounded in verified knowledge, and keep humans in control. Lastly, prove value in a thin slice. Then and only then, scale with governance. So I know I've rushed through this, and I hope that you have a lot of questions which we can answer in the Q&A. But the next step is simple. Reach out to us. We'd love to help you apply the framework to your specific situation. I'm Michelle Rousseau with Mint, and this has been Mint News. Sigesh, over to you.
Thanks, Mish. I think we've got a poll that's going to come up onto the screen now. If you can quickly just do that poll, we'll set it live. There we go. It should be on your screens now. You can just quickly complete that, and then we shall move on. Perfect. So that brings us to the end of today's session, short and sharp. And a big thank you to our news anchor, Michelle, for walking us through the real story behind AI adoption. It's easy to get caught up in the hype around new tools and models, but today was a great reminder that successful AI isn't about technology. It starts with people, strong processes, and clear business outcomes. So when those foundations are in place, the technology can actually deliver the value everyone is hoping for. And of course, thank you all to all of you for joining us. We really appreciate you taking time out of your day to learn with us. But before we wrap up, a quick look at what's coming up in our next webinar. Our next session is titled From Data to Decisions, Building the Platform That Powers AI. Now, we all know AI is having a bit of a moment, but here's the uncomfortable truth. AI is only as good as the data behind it, and I'm sure you've heard of this before. If your data is messy, scattered, or hiding in 15 different systems, even the smartest AI is going to struggle. It's a bit like hiring a brilliant chef and then giving them a fridge full of mystery leftovers, and we don't want that. So in this session next month, we're going to unpack what it really takes to build an AI-ready data platform, the kind that moves beyond dashboards that look impressive in meetings and actually helps your business make better decisions. And who doesn't want that, right? We're going to talk about modern data architecture, governance, scalable analytics, and how to create a platform that allows AI to work with your data rather than fight it. So our data experts at Mint will also share practical lessons from the real world, including the mistakes we see organizations commonly making when building data platforms and how to avoid them. So if you've ever looked at a dashboard and thought, that's interesting, but what do we actually do with it? Then this session is definitely for you. We're going to put the registration link in the chat if we haven't already. So feel free to grab your spot. We'd love to see you there. Thank you again for spending this time with us. We hope you have a great rest of your day, and we look forward to seeing you in the next session. Thanks, everyone.